Alright, we're starting it off with Super Nintendo this time, and the Super Nintendo versus Sega battle. Perhaps the most striking differences in games that made me most want a Sega is this game right here, Robocop versus Terminator. This is a Super Nintendo version. Came with a really cool box, like a plastic box. But that was about the best thing about it. If you're probably guessing that, yes, I did receive my flash cart, my $15 fake EverDrive flash cart from AliExpress. I got it. Best $15 I ever spent. It takes a little bit of a while for the games to load, but I'm used to games loading my whole life, so there isn't any problem with me. The graphics on this aren't bad, but once you see the Sega's gritty and realistic looking. This isn't bad, but the Robocop himself doesn't look very good. But yeah, like I said, this will make you want a Sega more than anything. Even my friend Pete Watson says so, and he had a Super Nintendo. Oh, that was a cheap death. I mean, this isn't a bad game, but it just doesn't pop like the Sega one pops. You'll see. You'll see. You'll all see. It has good backgrounds. I don't think those backgrounds are in the Sega. Actually, I never play this game, so I only play the Sega version. So I'm being surprised by the little things in it. Yeah, my flash cart came from China, AliExpress, and I told my mom I've been waiting for this to come. It's been moving through the network seemingly for more than a week. She said, well, sometimes if you report missing mail, all of a sudden it'll miraculously show up the next day. Because she buys a lot of American Girl dolls. So I took her advice, filled out the paperwork, gave me some bullshit excuse about Indianapolis having a new regional center and stuff like that. But what do you know? Next day I get the game. It magically appeared. So now I have a full collection of pirated Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Game Boy Color, Genesis, Master System, SG-1000, Game Gear, Nintendo 64, Sega CD, Sega 32X. I think that's it. Do I really need anything else? Well, I don't have a TurboGrafx 16. I'd like to have a TurboGrafx 16, all the games on that. But I didn't grow up with a TurboGrafx 16. As far as what I grew up with, I got it all, baby. I'm a happy person. There's a song by the Mountain Goats that goes, now I have everything I need. That's how I feel. I have everything I need. When I tell you that I need a video game collection, I need it. This is my job that I don't get paid for. filming myself, talking to myself on a CRT TV. I have fans. I get good feedback. So, all right, that's Robocop versus Terminator for the Super Nintendo. All right, get ready. Blood. Lots of blood. Just wanton and gratuitous violence. Robocop moves faster. Now that I've played the Super Nintendo back to back, I do notice that the Super Nintendo does have better backgrounds. But it seems more fleshed out. But the graphics just look cooler on this one. Looks gritty. Looks more realistic. Less cartoony. I think this is based on a comic book, so. Oh, damn. Love this weapon. Oh, this one's good too. Oh, blood. Moves faster too. That's just the first level on it. It took me 5 minutes to get through the first level on the Super Nintendo one, but this level got down a minute and 30 seconds. That's a great soundtrack, the Terminator. I love that kind of electronic soundtrack. I remember playing this at Sean Hirsch's house, and I was like, I'm going to rent this on the Super Nintendo. Never been so disappointed in my life. But now, I'm a grown-up, and I have it. I have my own Hirsch Family Genesis. Believe you me, I got this on pirated flash cart, but I also have my own personal copy of it. It's a must-have for my collection. The blood on that windowsill. This makes you feel sorry for all us poor Super Nintendo kids when we were kids. We had to play the Super Nintendo version of Robocop versus Terminator. See how fast he goes? He's just blazing fast. That's what you get when you have blast processing. And people say blast processing isn't real. It is real. You know what megahertz are? I guess they're gigahertz now, or maybe terahertz. But megahertz is how fast your computer processor is. And the computer processor on the Sega Genesis is twice as fast, twice as many megahertz as the Super Nintendo. I've had a guy tell me that Sega didn't use all those megahertz even though it had it. But all you have to do is look at this game and you know that they're using those megahertz. Blazing fast speeds. You just do what Robocops do in this game, destroy. I love Robocop games. There's a new Robocop. Well, I guess it's like a year old, but there's a Robocop game on modern consoles. Really good. I recommend trying it. Hey, there's Arnold. We'll kill Arnold and move on to the next game. There's even blood on Arnold. You can see it. Oh, he's slowly disintegrating. Oh, now he's full on Terminator robot. He's terminated. He's terminated. It's not even fair to compare. Sega Genesis wins. This is Final Fight for the Super Nintendo. Only has 2 playable characters. Guy is missing. But you got Cody and Hagar. It's a very early Super Nintendo game. Mostly known for not having 2 players and not having Guy. Graphics still look pretty good though, especially for an early Super Nintendo game. Music is not so good. So far, so not so good. This game has close connections with Street Fighter 2. I think they're both in the same universe. Later Street Fighter games actually have characters from Final Fight in it. I think Final Fight might have been originally called Street Fighter 2. I don't know. There's the Street Fighter 1 that sucks. But then this came after that. And then Street Fighter 2 came along. Changed the world of arcades forever. Notice there's only 2 characters on this, 2 bad guys on the screen at a time due to the limitations of the hardware. More chocolate. See if the knives cause a little blood at all. No blood coming out of the knife. No little red streaks. That's Super Nintendo for you. It plays fast, it plays quick, it plays like Rival Turf. Rival Turf was the first beat 'em up I ever played on Super Nintendo. I believe it was specifically made because Final Fight wasn't 2-player. So Jellicoe created Rival Turf to say, hey, we can have 2-player beat 'em ups on Super Nintendo. Played it at my cousin's house, Jeff City, Missouri. When I was a young kid. That's when I really got to dive deep into the Super Nintendo. Summer of 92. And then I got my Super Nintendo Christmas of 92. I got came Mario, and I also got Street Fighter 2 on it. As a 1-player experience, this is pretty good. But side-scrolling beat 'em ups, gotta have 2-player. It's just inexcusable that they don't have 2-player on this game. Right, that is Final Fight on the Super Nintendo. Alright, I know what you're going to say. It's not fair to compare the Super Nintendo and a Sega game, Sega CD game. But this game isn't on Sega Genesis. I guess I could compare Streets of Rage.
Metro City, a well-known crime
It was
capital,
silent on the Super Nintendo version.
violence and
But
death.
the Sega CD is part of the Sega Genesis. It's like, you know, the expansion pack is part of the Nintendo 64. So if you compare
At the center of the problem,
Tony Hawk 2 with PlayStation and 64 with the expansion pack, it's a much higher frame rate on the 64 with the expansion pack. But is it unfair to include the expansion pack? I disagree. There's a little blood. There's that a shadow. That's a shadow. That blood was coming out of the picture.
Mr. Hager. So
Not the best voice acting in the world, but
I believe you know
it's part of its charm.
Don't hang up. We have a little business proposition for you. Your daughter for your cooperation. And we'll throw in the regular monthly bonus to your salary if we offer.
Trying to bribe Hager.
What happened
It's not going to work.
Who is this? Not so fast, Mike. Turn on your TV.
Watch this.
You son of a... What have you done to her? Nothing yet. But
Alright, we're going to move on to the game. I'm trying to save some time here. Alright. So now we got 3 people to choose from. Three people on screen at a time now. It's the added memory. The optical disc drive. Better music. Better sound effects. Graphically, I feel like the Super Nintendo version was more colorful. The music is definitely better. The controls feel a little stiffer on this, to be honest. I feel like the Super Nintendo controls flowed better. I'm surprised by this observation. Some lighting effects on this that are not present in the Super Nintendo version. See if I pick up this knife if there's a little bit of blood. Oh, that fat guy knocked me over. All the lights are changing quite a bit, so it's kind of a good effect. Lost the knife. Oh, there's the knife. I gotta get these guys with a special move, get them away from me. Oh, there's no blood on this knife either. I guess there's no blood on the knife in this game. I thought they'd throw in just a little bit of blood. The music is night and day. I mean, this is CD quality sound. That guy's sprite looks larger. See, we got 3 guys on the screen when he whistles them in instead of 2. That's the power of the Sega CD. We have girls as enemies. I believe it's a transgender woman, from what I remember from the instruction booklet. Right, and that is Final Fight for the Sega CD. I'm going to give it a tie because each has their advantages and disadvantages. So I can't really compare the two, especially considering one has the power of the CD behind it. All right, we're kicking it old school with this one. Oh, it's digital eclipse. I always like seeing that. Miss Pac-Man, starting off with Super Nintendo. Pac Booster, game difficulty. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, you can see it's not full screen. I have Miss Pac-Man on the Genesis. This is my first time playing it on the Super Nintendo. I think the games might be identical, but we'll see. And we'll see if I can get it to Act 1, They Meet. Sometimes I can get it to Act 2, The Chase, but usually I only make it to Act 1, They Meet. Good sound effects, much like the arcade. It has a little bit of a graphical upgrade. It's Miss Pac-Man shiny. The ghosts are shiny. Uh-oh. Might not make it to Act 1, They Meet. I like Miss Pac-Man sped up. There's Miss Pac-Man speed hack. And I like real fast Miss Pac-Man. That's when I really thrive in Miss Pac-Man. I don't know how I feel about this scrolling screen, but I guess it doesn't really hinder the gameplay very much. Nice shiny strawberry. Get these pellets while they're far away. Quick cut through here. Apparently, to get really good at this game, you have to memorize the patterns of the ghosts. That's the way to cheat the system. Beat the game, get to the kill screen. Mom's friend Kelly knew the patterns. This is the game my mom played. Oh, I got to Act 1, They Meet, baby. I feel like Act 1, They Meet comes earlier in this version than in the arcade version. I don't know. Blue level. I love the colors of the blue level. The video games have been around since my mom was young. My mom's not that much older than me. She had me when she was young. My dad was old. He didn't have video games. He was born in 1947. Video games hadn't even been invented when he was born. First ever video game is Space War, invented at a college campus. And that was in the 50s. So Atari 7800 came out in 1977. My mom would have been 15 or 16 years old. So she's part of the video game generation. When I first found out about Atari when I was a kid, I couldn't believe that there was such thing as an Atari. My friend Robbie Bush had a ColecoVision. Couldn't believe that existed either. I just thought there was only Nintendo and arcades. I was trying to think back, like my first memory of ever playing an arcade game. It had to have been at either Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese. But I don't have that memory. I was so young that I don't remember the first arcade game I ever played. But I had to have been 1 year old. So I'm a lifer when it comes to this shit. I'll be playing video games till the day I die. Do you have any stigma against that? You think I'm too old for video games? Let me tell you this. I first remember playing Mario with my Meemaw and Granddaddy, and they were my Meemaw and Granddaddy grandparents by then. So my first memory of playing Nintendo was with grandparents. So I have some friends that are my age that are grandparents, which is crazy. But they had kids when they were in high school. Actually, only one friend I can think of. Stephanie Blanchard, aka Yaya. I call her Yaya. The reason is too explicit to say on this family-friendly stream. It had to do with her interactions with one Michael Wuschlager. I should make a Wuschlager family Nintendo video. I know he had Rescue. He had what the fuck is that game called? Blaster Master. To think of all the games Wuschlager had. Okay, here's a difference right off the bat. Tengen, not Williams. Not Digital Eclipse. Tengen is Atari. They made unlicensed games for the menu looks exactly the same as the Super Nintendo one. Maybe just because they wouldn't let Super Nintendo. Tengen was not allowed on Super Nintendo. Nintendo does not get along with Tengen. Tengen made their own Tetris game. Nintendo got it taken off the market. Now it's a very collectible Tetris. Okay, first thing off the bat, this moves faster. Once again, cementing the theory of glass processing. Another thing, it's very loud. I have to turn it down a little bit. I don't like the sounds on this one as much as I do on the Super Nintendo. But I'll set that aside. It already plays much better controls, much faster Miss Pac-Man. I think I already know which one I like better. Sega. But I'm gonna keep playing till I die, like I did with the shit. Same thing happened on the Super Nintendo. I had just a few pellets to get, and they got me. Story of my life. Okay. Yeah, it's the Sega version. Tengen got it right. It just It's almost the exact same thing, but once you get into the gameplay, you see that quick move where I just move real fast at a quick turnaround. I don't think the Super Nintendo version's that responsive. This is very responsive. Better speed. It's making me think that the Genesis 6-button controller has a better D-pad than the Super Nintendo. At least for this game. The D-pad was invented by Gunpei Yokoi, and he was later murdered by Yakuza hired by Nintendo because he invented the Bandai Wonder Swan after the failure of his invention, the Virtual Boy. Look it up. I'm not crazy. Not a conspiracy theory. Okay, here's Act 1 they meet. I made it to it again. Same menu, same graphics. Two different companies. Much better control on the Sega. I like the way that this blue level looks better on the Sega too. It pops more. It has more of an arcade feel. Colors affect our mood. I love the color blue and I love the color green. Those are my two colors that really pop my mind. Blue relaxes me. Green excites me. Red is overrated. Red's too overpowering. Nothing worse than a red painted room. Too machismo. Red painted room. Oh, caught up. See if I can get these ones at the top. I better get these ones at the bottom first. Make my way to the top. Where will I go? Here we go. Throw them off my track. Throw them off my scent. Oh, shit. Damn it. Like I said, the controls are very responsive on this one. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Got it. Yeah, without question. Thanks to blast processing, the Sega Genesis version of Miss Pac-Man wins. Controls on the Super Nintendo one just feel stiff. This game does a good job at translating that Miss Pac-Man flow, where you just get into the flow of Miss Pac-Man. This game has good flow to it. Goes to show you, looks can be deceiving. If you just look at the two games, they look exactly the same, but they're different. Very different. Right, this is a game you don't really hear people talking about very much. It was an arcade game originally. I remember playing it at the arcade basement of the University of South Florida. Captain America and the Avengers. The Avengers weren't very popular until the movie The Avengers. I don't know if it's 3 or 5, but here we go. Who do I want to play as? My favorite character back in the day was Hawkeye, I think, but I'm going to go with Captain America. The graphics on this already, they look very dark. Not very colorful. It looks like when you pause the screen and it kind of darkens the screen. That's what the graphics look like so far. Very dark. This voice, we'll see if the Genesis version has voice. Yeah, why are these graphics so dark? It's kind of weird. Throws his shield. It's a special move. It has good responsive controls. Plays fast. Can't get over how dark the graphics are. I wonder if they are this dark on the Sega. We'll see. Super Nintendo has more colors than the Sega. I don't know why the arcade game itself is pretty old, so it has something to do with that. But a lot of characters on screen at a time, which is good. Smaller sprites and something like Final Fight, of course, but that's why they're probably able to do that. There's a reason why I probably don't hear a lot about this game, because this port kind of sucks. The arcade is a lot of fun. But this just looks. I'm looking at my camera screen. It's not. It doesn't look as dark on my camera screen as it does on my TV. Just take my word for it. This looks. The best way I can describe it is, like I said, it's when you press pause on certain games and it like darkens the screen. That's what this game, just regular graphics, look like. This game's not very fun. Too much going on at once. I do like the voice. It's too many. It's not really a beat 'em up per se, because there's a lot of projectiles involved. Silver Surfer. Is that Silver Surfer? I don't know. He doesn't have a surfboard. I don't know who that guy is. I hate that guy shooting that laser. Oh, this guy shoots lasers too. Fake Silver Surfer. Yeah, there are not many frames of animation in this. Not a good port. I think I remember that as a kid, thinking that. But this extremely dark screen has me wondering, is there a problem with the ROM itself, or is it really this dark? I don't know. Leave a comment below. Right. Dr. Doom. Okay, now the thing. Oh, that's Iron Man. I guess you gotta have Iron Man, Tony Stark. And they really should have made the Simpsons arcade game available on 16-bit systems. Instead, they have all that Acclaim crap. A perfectly good Konami beat 'em up they could have released. What were they thinking back then? Instead of a energy bar, you have numbers. I'm about to die because I'm at number 13. Now I got 3 left. Yeah, he's gonna get me. Oh, I still got 1 more life. Go back to old Captain. Me and the Captain make it happen. Well, I beat him. Game over. Time to look at the Sega. Does it suck this bad? We'll see. All right, here we go. Sega. Didn't say Sega. Oh, this one was done by Data East, so it wasn't farmed out to another company. So I already have a feeling this one's going to be better because Data East made Truxton. Yeah, this looks way better, brighter. Yeah, this is I can already tell this is better. The Super Nintendo seems like it was a quick, sloppy port. Start off with Captain again. Captain Jazz. Oh, there's a little storytelling beginning. Let's get through that. Right. Music sounds better. Oh, it's much brighter. Much brighter. Still has voice. The controls are different. There isn't a designated button to throw the projectile, but there are less characters. Or no, there's the same amount of characters on screen, but they are much easier to deal with. Yeah, this is much better. The one on Super Nintendo is a joke. Had to have been something wrong with it. I'll have to look up some YouTube footage of it to see if it's really that bad, really that dark of a screen. Yes, it's a much more balanced game. But I don't like that I can't throw my projectiles. I don't understand that. There's a designated button for projectile throwing. And this one, it seems to arbitrarily throw projectiles at random times. Is that a redundant statement? Is arbitrary and random the same word? I just think arbitrary is what people say instead of random so they can sound smarter. Yeah, I mean, these games play completely different. But this plays way better. Way better. I haven't even died yet either. I died like 3 times by the time I got here in the Super Nintendo version. Okay, I think I figured out how to throw. You press A and B at the same time. Okay, that makes sense.
You cut escape. You will be the one escaping.
The voice samples sound fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this just feels like a real solid beat 'em up. When the Super Nintendo version just feels like it's broken. It's a broken game. We got Hawkeye. Yeah, that was an easy. That's an easy. It's just okay. That guy's named Whirlwind, not Doctor Doom. Easy rating on this one. Definitely goes to the Sega Genesis. I'm noticing a pattern here. Right, in order to maintain journalistic integrity, I'm going back and playing this again. Might see me referencing in the Street Fighter video next the dark screen of this game. My AV cables are having a malfunction for my Super Nintendo, so I have to re-record this Super Nintendo Avengers game with the normal graphics, not the darkened graphics. See, yeah, that looks way better. So graphics, at least, are on par with the Sega version. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this changes things a bit. This is equaling the playing field a little bit. Spoiler alert: I gave the Sega version a better the win, but I think I'm going to give it the win again because gameplay wise, Sega version is more of a balanced game, but graphically, they're pretty on par with each other. Actually, the Super Nintendo looks slightly better, but in the Sega game, the punches, you can feel the punches more, and just feels like a more balanced game. It's better programmed by Data East than whoever was farmed out to program this. This is too hard, and not hard for the sake of being challenged. It's hard for the sake of programming. Hard for the sake of bad programming. Was that the Punisher? Yeah, I've seen enough. All right, you can't have 16-bit without Street Fighter 2. Going back to the Avengers, it was a problem with the AV connection of my Super Nintendo because it did that dark screen thing on this too. So I don't want to go back and replay the Avengers with normal looking graphics because I don't have to, because I know that the controls were just way better on the Sega version. I don't have to go back to realize the Sega version is superior. That's how you win this game, Hadouken. This is Street Fighter 2 Turbo, but Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior was the launch game for the Super Nintendo. Which doesn't have the turbo function, and you can't fight as the boss characters. I think Street Fighter 2 Turbo Champion Edition was the first Sega game to be on Street Fighter 2 Sega game. So, I never noticed this before, but the top of the screen, it is slightly letterboxed. I never realized that as a kid about Street Fighter 2. But it's slightly letterboxed. I guess to fit in all the graphical power. See, there's a little blood on the Super Nintendo. Konami slipped that in. Just subtle enough not to notice. Right, apparently I suck at this game. So, time to try out the Sega version. It's called Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition on the Sega. This was the first Street Fighter 2 to ever be released on the system. I remember playing it. A house full of 30-something lesbians out in Carrollwood, Florida. Used to hang out with them. Very butch one named Sharon had a Sega Genesis, and that was my first experience playing Street Fighter 2 on the Genesis. I remember having fun. It's cool to play both systems, as you can probably tell by my back-to-back comparison videos. Right, I like the 6-button controller. Still letterboxed. Easier to play. I haven't adjusted any of the difficulty settings. I just destroyed Blanca. Yeah, it's good to do a fierce attack with just a button on the face of the controller, as opposed to the left and right buttons. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm feeling the Sega version. I like to win, so, but maybe that was lucky, or not lucky, but the first enemy is always the easiest. When playing Street Fighter 2, they get progressively harder as you progress through the game. But people always say the sound is really bad on this Sega version. It's not that bad. There's a little bit of a radio crackle to it, but it's not bad. Of graphically, I can't even tell the difference. I have a pretty keen eye for that kind of thing. Maybe the characters look slightly skinnier on this one. That's a weird thing to say, but it's a difference I can tell. Rukens versus Sonic Booms. Jean-Claude Van Damme definitely should have played Johnny Cage Mortal Kombat movie instead of the Street Fighter movie. Because Guile's an all-American army guy. Slightly suspension of disbelief to have a guy with a thick Belgian French accent playing a army veteran. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I like to win. I'm winning on this one. Controls are more responsive. I think Sega wins again. I should have had a Sega growing up. No, but my favorite Super Nintendo game is Street Fighter 2. And Street Fighter 2 is not very good on Sega Genesis compared to Super Nintendo. But then again, I could have had Street Fighter 2 on the 32X. That would have been an extra $150 for the 32X and $70 probably for the Mortal Kombat 2 game, and wouldn't have been able to get it at launch. It didn't come out until the Christmas season. Maybe later, I don't know, but I guess, I yearned for the Sega as a child, and I'm beginning to realize why. Right, this is the final game of the night. Well, it's Rare had something to do with this. Well, of course Rare had something to do with it, because it is Battletoads Double Dragon. There was a little Mode 7 scaling action. I wonder if that will be present in the I like Zits. Let's see if that is present in the Sega version. This looks like the first level of Battletoads Arcade, but doesn't play like it. It plays alright. I'm going to one up right away. Battletoads Arcade is my favorite Battletoads because it's not ridiculously hard, and it's just a straight up beat 'em up, and it has blood. Of course, I have to mention that. That's a prerequisite for me loving a game. I remember playing this game with my friend Joe Donahoe. He lived in Fox Run, but we were playing in my parents' bedroom in Bloomingdale East. My part of Bloomingdale East, now known as Fairway Park. It was just called Bloomingdale East when I lived there, but I revisited it. I have a little sign out there that says Fairway Park. Lived on Bel Grande Drive. That's part of Fairway Park now. Yeah, me and Joe Donahoe were playing this in my parents' bedroom. We rented it, and Joe Donahoe exclaimed, "Oh shit!" He didn't know my mom was right outside the door. He got in trouble. That's my memory of this game. I don't know if I've gone back and played it since. Graphics look pretty good. It's going to be tough for Sega to match these graphics. These look like Super Nintendo graphics. Very colorful, very polished. It's the kind of game you definitely want to have two players with, but alone again naturally. I don't want to make any promises, but yesterday I discussed with my friend Jeremy doing some sort of collab of a Let's Play video, so coming soon possibly. It's a little gameplay, multiplayer, Let's Play on a CRT TV with my friend Jeremy. We'll definitely have to play on his CRT TV because I can't really have guests at my house because I don't have running water. And if yeah, so all right, that was the Super Nintendo version. Here we go. Battletoads versus Double Dragon, both Trade West and Rare again. Looking similar so far, but I have to get into the gameplay, figure out. Yeah, it did not have the as I expected. It did not have the Mode 7 intro with the title screen, which is forgivable because the Sega Genesis does not have Mode 7. It has blast processing, that's what gives it an edge. But no Mode 7 on the Sega Genesis. Okay, yeah, I mean, this is late in the Sega and Super Nintendo lifespan, and so they were using all the power that they could out of the Super Nintendo, and the resolution looks higher on the Super Nintendo version, and the colors looks like there's more colors on the Super Nintendo version. The sprites look smaller on this, less detailed, but before I go making a decision, I have to say this controls better. It's more responsive, faster, more edge of your seat, and sometimes, graphics aren't everything. I'm kind of getting deja vu with Street Fighter because it just feels, I don't know, do Genesis games just play better than Super Nintendo games? I think they do. It's just the blast processing, I think. Yeah, it does look better on the Super Nintendo, but this plays much better. Same thing with Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that arm thing was much more colorful on the Super Nintendo version. This arm thing going to be my demise once again? Nope. See, I already have gotten further on the Sega version because it plays faster and controls better. So I think Sega's going to win again. I think Sega has won every single competition in this episode. Can't ignore the fact that it just plays better. This thing is weird. I don't know how to beat this thing. Okay. Gotta kind of get out of its way and then attack it. Oh, shit. Reminds me of the game Balls with a Z. You know, if you remember that game. It was a fighting game where you are balls. Yeah, graphics aren't everything. I mean, it's not that big of a difference in graphics. Actually, kind of is. The Super Nintendo version looked way, way better. Oh, that's a Bobo. I forgot this is a Double Dragon game. See, the controls are so much better. I made it all the way to a Bobo. 1 life left. Can I beat a Bobo? Probably not. But you know, we're wrapping things up here. Game over. But I made it much further than the Super Nintendo version. Battletoads Double Dragon, Sega wins. Hope you've enjoyed this comparison video. Have a great night. Bye-bye.